Today marks the start of a new chapter. I think the third last chapter of your biology life. Heard some of you don't want to take bio anymore in SH. I have no hard feelings. Huh? Yeah, okay, so really, I think your last year in biology, take it as an opportunity to really get to know this subject a little bit more. Because as I said, I told you before, some of these topics you will see again in SH side. In SH side, a lot of the seniors say that the first few months are revision time. They sit there. One senior even said, okay, but don't copy her method. I have to say that she didn't even study for it. Stick through all the lecture, and she still managed to do well for biology in the first few semesters. Because what you're learning now is actually involves a lot of SH stuff. Okay? So that is kind of what SH would be like for bio. But you'll be aware of which topics you can expect to see more in SH side. Reproduction is not going to be one of these topics that you see very big of. In fact, a lot of the chapters relating to your bodily systems, we don't dive back very deep in the SH side. SH side goes a little bit more molecular. Okay? So today we're going to do the last system of the body. We've learned about many systems, from the renal system to the respiratory system, how you breathe. You know how you are able to produce urine now, the renal system, or your kidneys. Your nervous system, you know how you see. Cardiovascular system, now you know how your heart beats. Yeah? Yeah? Digestive system, from your lower JH days, how you digest food. Last one, reproductive system. How do you reproduce? Not your time yet, maybe 10 years down the road. As with any system, we go kind of this flow. We deal with the parts first. Yeah, what are the parts of the system? Then we deal with how they work together. Last but not least, we look at some disruptions. Then we affect how one might reproduce. Okay, so that is broadly the flow we're going. Today, our aim is to look at the structure. Sorry, maybe not parts, structure. Structure of the male and female ecosystem of humans. Yeah? After that, if we have a little bit of time, I may start off and a little bit more, dive a little bit more into the female ecosystem. The next part will be how it works together. So we look at menstrual cycles. Okay, so may I direct your attention to the resources for this chapter? First and foremost is your SLS. You should also have your notes. So let me fish out my notes. Okay, these are your notes too. Okay, so you have your notes, you also have your SLS. May I direct your attention to the first part of this set of notes? Look at 7.1.1, asexual reproduction. Okay, up to comparison of asexual and sexual repro. Okay, this part of the chapter usually we don't teach in class. It's a very, very short segment. But I'd like to draw your attention to what we expect you to know as you study this by yourself. Number one, actually the only thing from this part is you look at this part, this table. We expect you to be able to compare asexual and sexual reproduction. Okay? In primary school, you've heard about this before. Yeah? Asexual and sexual reproduction. Okay, so this segment is for you to study yourself. I'd like to emphasize that this chapter we spend more time on sexual repro. And so asexual is the part that you do your own homework. Okay, your own study. Usually we don't dive very deep into your exams either. Okay? I give some examples of asexual repro. Example, when we look at your potatoes. You know, potatoes, they are known to be able to bud off by themselves. Right? That's a form of asexual reproduction. No sex involved. Okay, so asexual. Where does this correspond therefore when we look at your SLS? Okay, for your SLS, we look at segment 1, segment 2, Okay, just one question. Okay, that's all. Right, so this one, I will not check whether you've done it until after, okay, when I'm going to collect your PPSR grades, I'll let you know again. Okay, because just this one segment, you're going to use for your prep class. Okay, so your preparation for PPSR. Okay, I chose a very short segment. So today we're going to dive into segment B. We're going to look at the structure of the human reproductive system. All of us have this system. I think the difference here that we're going to take when we look at this chapter is to familiarize ourselves a little bit more with our own body parts. For good reason, our birth rate is extremely low. So get to know the parts of the body because it's important, not only for learning, but also for general knowledge. Anytime you find this chapter uncomfortable, or I say things that make you feel uncomfortable, please after lesson let me know. Okay? Sometimes, I mean you all know, sometimes when I talk in class, I don't filter my mouth properly, certain nonsense comes out. Okay, so, but I am aware that sometimes when it comes to this chapter, you may feel a little bit uncomfortable. But the perspective I'm taking is a biology perspective. Yeah? Maybe your PM will have your sex ed, but it's not. I'm not doing sex ed. Okay, I am doing things from biology perspective. You want to know how parts of your body works. And the interesting thing about this particular chapter is, when you look at things like your renal system, respiratory system, males and females, we all have the same parts. But reproductive system is different. Males and females come with different parts. So that is something that not everyone has the same parts, and that's why we want to know and study this chapter. So let's begin with this chapter. I'd like to orientate you, and I think the aim of today is to really know about structures. First and foremost, I'd like you to access the Google sites. I just want to see if this still exists on my website. So go and click it. Okay, you should be brought to the Lumos page of Human Repro. If you scroll down, please, let it still be there. Okay, as usual, I've organized all your learning outcomes, and then I found a summary video that best describes this learning outcome. But if you scroll down, let's see there. Okay, can you see the male repro cross section on your screen? Because this website, Human Biodigital, they used to allow people to access these models for free. But then they realized that their models are so good that now they want to charge me at a cost. Okay, they didn't remove it. Okay, so I've uploaded these models on the website because I find them particularly useful. You can zoom in, zoom out, you can look 360, you can dissect away certain parts to help you visualize some parts better, which your textbook cannot do. So that's what we're going to explore today. Okay, so I only have one simple goal for today. We explore the parts of the male repro system as well as the female repro system. At the end of this session, I'd like you to screenshot an angle or perspective of this 3D model that you find helps you most. Label the parts of the body, screenshot it. I'd like you to paste it into your notes. SLS asks you to upload it onto SLS. I think more important, you paste it into your notes. Because your notes shows you different perspectives. 2D models is in fact. I would prefer that you orientate this model to your liking. I'm going to give you an example. If everyone refers to the notes, then you scroll down perhaps to the male repro system. It's all the way down. The organization of your notes is a little bit different. We organize this stuff of plants, but we decided to start with human instead, more relatable. So if you look at just the male repro system, you'll see that they provide a front view as well as a side view. But later on, as you explore the model, if you find that there's a better perspective for you to take an image to label, please do so. So for example, maybe to see the epididymis of the testicle, you prefer to have a zoom-in version right here because you find it's easier to label. Maybe you even want to click on it, color code it, to screenshot. Please go ahead, value add to your own notes. Okay? So that is the value. That's what we'll be mainly doing today. So I should expect to see a lot of you on your iPads, changing orientation, removing certain parts, screenshotting, pasting into your notes. I think that is very valuable for your learning. Okay, so we're going to start off. There are two various parts. We're going to look at male repro system as well as the female repro system. I'd just like you to know that the flow I'm taking for the SLS is different from the notes. The flow that we are taking is a flow that makes sense to us at this point in time. But when it comes to your revision, I think the flow that we provided for your textbook will be easier to revise. But for learning purposes, going in this flow is easier for learning. Okay? So we start with human repro system. Okay, let's start with the male repro system. I'd like to show you the part of the textbook I'm at. If you scroll down to this segment, as with every part of your notes, I've shared with you before that we tell you which section we are at. Currently we're at 7.3.1 of your textbook. If you look at your SLS, it should reflect the same thing. Where is it? Okay, if you go into SLS, it should reflect the same thing. So go to B, go to part 1, and we put here 7.3.1 and 7.3.2. Okay, just a refresher, so you know where to find yourself at any point in time. Okay, so this is the part of the textbook I have, 7.3.1 at the moment. Okay, I want to draw your attention to what is important for yourself. I know that when you look at this purple table, it's very daunting. You see so many things. Then the first thing that comes to your mind is, do I need to memorize all this? Okay? So I need to tell you upfront, please don't go and memorize all this. Okay? Every time you look at structures, there are a few important things to take note of. Number one, we expect you to know the function. Number two, we expect you to be able to identify. This is what you've experienced so far many times. For example, I show you the renal system. I ask you where the kidneys are, where's the ureter? I ask you to label. I may ask you very quickly, what's the function of the glomerulus, which is what you got in your mid-years. Right? But I've never asked you to describe the structure. Very lame lah. Ask you to describe the testicle. And what you want to describe is oval shape. Right? Something attached to it. So very rarely we'll ask you to describe. So use the descriptions over here, all these characteristics, more so that you can appreciate the structure a bit more. What is more pertinent to yourself is the function. As for the function, don't blindly memorize the paragraph. Instead, adopt good note-making skills and taking skills. For example, penis. What is the function? Introduce sperm into female body so that internal fertilization can occur. But if you look at it fully, what is the key thing you are saying here? It's for sperm introduction into the female body. Yeah? So learn to summarize rather than memorize. Okay? It what? Learn to summarize rather than memorize. Let me keep this in my mind. That sounded quite cool. Okay? Can I? So don't memorize this up. So therefore, let's go part by part. We're going to go part by part. We're going to start to explore the parts of the male repro system first. You'll find that if you compare the male and female repro system, actually the males have a little bit more parts. Females, less parts. But the females have a heavy duty, right? Because at the end of the day, childbearing done by the females. Interestingly, I mean, do you know, what do you call it? Horse fish. Sorry, seahorse. Okay, seahorse. Thanks, Shafika. When it came out of my mouth, it also sounded a bit weird. Seahorse. Now, seahorse very interesting. The females are the ones that, at the front part, they are the ones that carry the fertilized eggs. But then later on, they transfer all of it to the males. Then the males are the ones that carry the baby until it's time, until it's term, then they'll release all the babies. Wouldn't it be awesome if the females can do that? Yeah? Next time, the wife gets pregnant, after that pass the baby while it's still small and insert it to the belly button of the male. And then it's very large. Okay, sorry, biologically that makes no sense. Cannot insert things into your belly button. Okay, so we're going to look at the various parts of the male reproductive system. I think my role here is to clarify. We have a lot of misconceptions. Because you have a certain body part, you don't. You have, you don't. So we make assumptions. Here we need to clear all these misconceptions. Over the years, as I teach this particular chapter, realize we have a lot of misconceptions about different body parts. So let's look at the male ecosystem. As I go through, you can also slowly match it to the textbook. What you may want to do is, for example, let's say we identify the epididymis. Okay, so I scroll down now. Let's say we find this structure, epididymis. What does it look like? Okay, then you help yourself. Later on in the text, in the model, if we find that part, then why not screenshot it? Quickly paste beside the table. Yeah? Then you have a visual representation of all these parts. Okay? Let's begin. So let me look at the male ecosystem. I'd like to show you some tools you can use. Number one, if you were to click on any part, it will show you the label. Number two, if you look at after you click the part, you can see a few functions: hide, fade, isolate. So you try out each function. If you hide, boom, boom. Okay, just cut away this person's testicle. You want to bring it back, you just click back, like Control Z like that. Next, if you click fade this. You'll see that you make it slightly transparent. Okay, so that's fading function. Next, you click back, then you back to normal. Isolate. You isolate, then it just show you the part. Now it looks like just one egg. Okay? Then you can go backwards again. So up to you how you want to play with these three features. Make use of them well, screenshot it so that you can value add to your notes. Okay, let's begin. When we look at the male reproductive system, I think the most prominent thing is the so you see, maybe I start on the right foot. Okay, so for male reproductive system, we are aware that the males come with this part called the penis. Do all animals have this part? Actually they do. They come in all shapes and sizes. I was quite mind blown when I went to research on other animals' penis. For example, you know a cat's one is spiky. Yeah? Yeah, you're thinking, right, why in the world would you want one that's spiky? So the head of the cat's version is spiky. Helps the cat's part, kind of stay longer. Another one I found out that's quite mind-blowing, ducks. Ducks are, why are you laughing at that? When you look at, ducks one, their penis is corkscrew shape. That means, you know those wine opener? Yeah, so ducks one is like that shape, it's corkscrew. Yeah? The most mind-blowing part is that the female part, the vagina, is also corkscrew, but anti-clockwise. So it's not easy for ducks to reproduce. Yeah? Because the male one is one direction, then the female one is the other direction. Actually, it doesn't match up. So, but in biology, in the wild, very often you find that the male and female reproductive system sometimes it's not made to complement, deliberately meant to be difficult. Because you think about it in the wild, the males no government. Yeah? The males literally go around trying to find as many females as possible. But for the females, it's not a good thing, right? Females at only one point in time, this period of time, you can only can carry a baby for this period of time, right? And you don't want to, after giving birth, the next thing you have to do is give birth again, right? So to the females, they want to protect themselves, they want to conserve resources, cannot be they are perpetually pregnant. Males, on the other hand, have no government. Always want to just find a female. Sorry, this is the wild animals. Want to find a partner. So sometimes deliberately in biology in the wild, the parts aren't meant to complement, to make it harder for males. But therefore sometimes animals evolve certain parts to allow themselves to stay a little bit longer, like the cat. Okay? This is the male version for humans. So don't assume that every organism has this same part. Interestingly, I have a lot of these. Nematodes. Nematodes are kind of like slugs. Some slugs, right? Slugs are known as hermaphrodites. That means they have both male and female reproductive system. Yeah, sorry? Okay, how many of you heard about this thing called penis fencing? Should have done that, but yeah. So in the animal kingdom, the slugs, right? They are hermaphrodites, so they both have male and female parts. So then does one decide who's going to be the male, who's going to be the female? Because if you think about it, if you are the female, then for the next many months, you have to carry the baby, right? It's going to be intensive on yourself, resources-wise, biological resources-wise. So slugs, right, they have to go through this thing called penis fencing where they fight it out, right? They really fight. They see which slug gets to poke each other first. Okay, I say poke not in a joking way, but literally they try to stab each other. So they see which one manages to stab first. The one that manages to stab first, right, is the male. Sperms will go in, then that one is going to accept that it's going to be the female, right? So really the biology in the animal kingdom is weird. Sex is weird in the animal kingdom. Okay, that was a lot from just this part. So when we look at this part of the male reproductive system, I think the thing you want to draw out from this is, if you look at it, at the core of it, you see a tube. See this tube? We've actually learned about this tube before. It starts with a U. Thank you. So it's the urethra. Which chapter did we see this before? JH2, okay. In JH2 you learn reproductive system, so you can heard this word. But actually most recently you see this word. In the chapter 5, the renal system. Oh, sorry, the excretory system. I say. The excretory system. Okay, the urethra. So, males' urethra, if we make a quick comparison, males have a urethra that is very long. Then you just look down, right? You just scroll down, you find that the female's reproductive system, their urethra is way shorter. So where's the female urethra? Just over here. You see how much shorter it is compared to the male urethra? So fun fact, but not very fun, but good knowledge to have. Females tend to get this thing called urinary tract infection much more than males. Urinary tract because this is the part that urine takes out. Because this part is so short, bacteria can very easily go up the tract into the bladder, infect the bladder. If the infection gets very bad, it goes up the ureters, into the kidneys, you can get kidney damage. Males, on the other hand, because the urethra is longer, the bacteria die before it can even reach the bladder. So, I think a good general knowledge is this. How do you prevent bacteria from growing in the urethra? Make a guess. So what do you say? Pee, correct. Pee more. But how do you pee more? If I got no pee in my bladder, I cannot possibly pee more, right? Okay, drink more water. Okay, so everyone take a sip of water now if you have not drank anything yet. Because the more you fill up your bladder, the more you can flush out bacteria. Okay? And more important for females actually. So I know of people, okay, and then what are the symptoms of urinary tract infection? I think I told you all before in the excretory system. You see blood in your pee. Because if the infection goes upwards to the bladder, goes to the kidneys, kidney damage, bladder damage, you can start to pee blood. Okay? So take care of yourself. Another symptom, males and females. If you want to know if you've got urinary tract infection, usually what you feel when you're peeing is a burning sensation. You feel like the inside of the urethra is like, how come you feel like pins and needles, like it's burning? Okay, not from experience, sorry, this is from hearing about other people. Okay, so that's also another sign. Because the urinary tract, right, is inflamed, it's like, you know, imagine you got a wound, then you still go and add salt to the wound, go and scratch the wound. Of course you'll feel like it's burning. Yeah, it's like an abrasion. Okay, so that's the first thing. Next, if you look at if you go slightly above the penis, we go backwards now, you find that the urethra kind of attaches, okay? This urethra kind of goes through this bulbous part. You can see? I'd like you to know this is a cross section. Okay, it's a cross section now, it doesn't exist as one part. So if you were to look at it from a front perspective, okay, so this way you can use some of these tools, let's remove the bone. I'd like you to observe. Can you see that this is kind of like a pear shape? Okay, I'm going to isolate this. Isolate. Okay, this is just one half. This is the prostate gland. Heard about it before? Males, you take care. Because the prostate gland is the part in males that often get cancer. Okay? You may have heard of people with prostate cancer. Yeah, so thanks for shouting out Steve Jobs. Okay, so prostate cancer, this is just one half. So if you look at the prostate gland, you notice that you see a hole through it. Yeah? That's because the urethra passes through the prostate gland. This gland is very important. Later on, we'll find out the function. Okay? How do you tell if you've got prostate cancer? We can find out through anatomically where it's situated and how you will feel. So males, you take note. Do you know what this channel behind is? This bladder. Okay, don't know where click on it. Then it'll show you. What is this part behind? The prostate gland, the rectum, store one. What does it store? It stores poop, Okay, so it stores poop. This is the rectum behind, it stores poop. Therefore, this hole over here is the anus. So poop comes out through here. Okay, now imagine if the prostate gland has cancer and it's getting tumorous and it's enlarging, it will enlarge and push against the rectum. So actually people with prostate cancer, one of the symptoms is that they may feel like it's a bit hard to poop. Okay? Because it's blocking the way a little bit. And I think if I'm not wrong, one of the checks is that the doctor will insert the finger up, right? Just to check if they can feel a bump and a swelling over here. Because if it pushes in, right, that means the cancer is considered quite far. Okay? So boys, if you feel like you shit got problem, right? Then maybe you want to go ahead and check. Okay? Let's go up a little bit more. What is this big pouch above? Don't know? Click on it. So this is the bladder. Okay? So you see the flow of things. Let's go a little bit up. So if you look from the side view, you see that there's this tube going out from the bladder. We're going to click on it now. This is a ureter. This will go up to the kidneys. Okay? Why am I showing you this pathway? Because boys, they use this pathway to urinate. Yeah? We've learned this pathway before in the excretory system. But the odd part about boys is that you'll find out in a while. Okay, let's talk about it in a while. Okay, so this is the pathway urine takes. Familiar? Yeah? As a biology student, you also need to know which pouch store what. For example, cannot be you saw your shit here. Okay? Or you saw your urine here. Yeah? You store your shit here. It means you shit out through the penis. Okay? Cannot make sense, right? It'll be very painful also. Perpetually constipated. Okay? So you know what stores what. Later females, the female body parts, I think it's more important to know what stores what. If not, you will get very confused on where the baby will grow. Okay, so that is one part checked. Pathway urine takes. But this is a reproductive system. So let's look at the parts sperms will take, because that's what males produce. Let's go to the testicle. This is the start. When we look at a testicle, or you can refer to it as testis, testis, singular, plural, testes. Okay? When you look at testicle, this model doesn't quite show you what's inside. If I were to dissect a testicle into half, you find that A is kind of like a kidney because you find lots and lots of tubes inside. Not nephrons. These are instead called, if I refer you to your table, they are called seminiferous tubules. Okay? These are the seminiferous tubules. They are not nephrons. I need you to know this because this is where sperms form. Okay? Sperms form in here. If I were to take one of these tubes and cut it into half and look at it from this perspective, this is what it will look like. So this is a tube, and then you see cells used to make up this tube. Okay, lots and lots of cells used to make up this tube. What you find is that these cells are the ones that will divide to produce the sperms. So let me recap the previous chapter. What kind of cell division do the cells need to go through to be able to produce sperms? Mitosis or meiosis? Yeah, meiosis. So if I were to link all the chapters together, the cells inside the seminiferous tubules undergo meiosis, and that's how sperms form. So actually they are actively dividing, but not dividing in a way that repairs your skin when you hurt yourself. It divides such that each one of these sperms has just half the number of chromosomes. Okay? Where do the sperms go then after they are produced? They will go down the tube, they will then exit the tube and be stored in a pouch out here. Okay? And this pouch over here is called the I don't know how to spell epididymis. Okay? Did I spell it wrongly? Epididymis. Yeah? So all the sperms will be situated here after they are produced. But what's the function of storing them in here? Because this is where they mature. Sperms are produced here, then this is like nursery for them. They go there to mature. Okay? They go there to grow up. What biologically this means is that if someone were to ask you what will happen if I'm going to remove this person's epididymis, how will it impact the sperms? Well, the impact will be that the sperms won't get to mature. The tails may not be flapping the way it's supposed to flap. Okay? Biologically, that will be the impact. If you take away all these tubules from the testicle, you can expect that this dude is not going to produce sperms. I used to think that the testicle is just one like fleshy part, right? That I mean, I don't know how the sperms will form now, honestly. Okay, but this is anatomically how it forms. Can you find this diagram in your textbook? You can find it. If you scroll down, this is a more in-depth drawing. Okay? Let's say the sperms have matured. Where do they go next? They will finally exit the epididymis through a tube. Okay, so there will be a tube, then you'll exit via. This tube, I expect you to know, is called the vas deferens. You have learned this in lower JH before. You may have heard another name for this, the sperm duct. Yeah? That's a layman term. Biology, we call this the vas deferens. Fun fact, this vas deferens is muscular. And so just like your intestines, it can carry out a function that starts with the letter P. E. R. Yeah. So the vas deferens carries out peristalsis. So it can help to project the sperms to where it's supposed to be. It would be quite cute, right? You can actually see this happening. These vas deferens are little tubes, right? Kind of like squishing the sperms all the way to their destination. Okay, so they are muscular. Vas deferens is a tube made and it contains a muscle layer that allows it to carry out peristalsis. So that's where we are. Okay, so let's look at it from this perspective. Here you can find the testicle, highlighted in yellow, then the epididymis for maturation, then the vas deferens. But where does the vas deferens lead to? Okay, this is where I find this model very useful. Because if you look at your textbook, very often it leads all of us to have the misconception that the sperms, the vas deferens, connects to the bladder. Doesn't it look like it? You see this tube over here, the vas deferens? It goes behind, okay? But I don't know where it goes. So a lot of students think that it connects to the bladder from the back. But I want you to think, biologically, does this make sense? It's a bit weird, right? You just develop a whole bunch of sperms, millions of them, then you send them to their death. Throw them into the acidic urine. You're going to die. Okay, so it makes zero sense. So, how do you find out where the vas deferens will go? This is where the model comes in useful. Let's have a look. Look at the vas deferens. It looks like it's connected to the bladder. But look very carefully from this perspective. Does it? It actually looks behind the bladder. It looks behind the ureter. In fact, where does this go? It goes behind eventually it connects to where? Okay, so let's have a look from the front. Okay, from another perspective. You see where the vas deferens connects? It connects into the prostate gland, and then eventually it will connect to the urethra over here. Okay, so it connects over here to the prostate gland, and eventually it will connect to the urethra. Follow it? So, I therefore expect you to know the pathway that sperms take out of the male reproductive system. So a question for you. How do sperms travel from the testes out of the body? I expect you to know this. Yeah? So for example, I may ask you to trace the pathway. May provide you the male reproductive system, then I ask you to draw arrows to show how it exits the body. As simple as this sounds, I do see many years students channel the sperms to their depth. Make it go through the bladder, then out of the male reproductive system. Makes no sense. Okay? I'd like to give you some time now, therefore. Go ahead and screenshot. Take some screenshots that will value add to your learning, paste into your notes. If you found it particularly valuable to trace the pathway that sperms take out of the body using this virtual model, please go ahead also. For example, you can even isolate the bladder. Go and delete the bladder. Then you can properly trace the pathway that sperms will take out of the body. Do what you wish to help your learning. Okay, let me give you around 5 minutes to explore the male reproductive system. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Great question. Okay, I'll come to it in a while after the 5 minutes is up. Yeah. Good question. You then you look at the textbook, the table, and you can find a function. Yes. Okay, it kind of goes through it. Yeah. What's what? Oh, okay. After vas deferens, you can immediately link it to the urethra already. No. So yeah, so you link it directly to the urethra. All the seminal vesicle I'll come to it in a while. They are accessory glands connected to it. Yeah. Correct. Correct. All those seminal vesicle, it's almost like, you know, your small intestines got a pancreas attached here and there, then got one liver attached. Yeah. The male reproductive system also have additional accessory glands attached so that we can nourish the sperms as they are exiting the body. Yeah. And your past check? Or E is past check? You all know the DS is book, right? But you want another location and let me know. As you explore the body, a lot of questions may pop in your mind. Please don't need to be shy, okay? We raise up in class and we can learn a little bit more about our own body parts. I already have one interesting question brought up by Ella. I'll come to it very soon. look at this when you're holding. Okay, questions. I do have some parts of the male repro system that I did not touch. 3 parts. Okay? You may have heard of the word semen before. Okay? A misconception is to think that the only component of semen is sperm. That's not true. Actually, there are many components to semen. For example, inside semen, there are lubricants, there are nutrients, there are also alkaline chemicals. All these components add up, comprise semen. But what are all these components for? Lubricants, as you can imagine, is to aid in the copulation process, aid in sex. Makes it easier also for the sperms to travel. Nutrients. Hey, the sperms are away on a very long journey, and also for a few days to reach the egg. It needs nutrients to survive. These nutrients also help activate, make the sperms a little bit more active so that their flagella at the back can propel a little bit faster. These alkaline chemicals, actually the female body is very acidic on the inside because at the end of the day, that nearby the region, also so where urine may come out, inside the female body is quite acidic environment. If the sperms were to encounter it, they will actually die. So the semen helps to protect them, kind of buffers them chemically speaking. But where are all these additional substances formed? Well, they are formed by these 3 glands. Number 1, the prostate gland. The prostate gland, this big gland over here, contributes to this. Number 2, I'd like you to orientate this. You look at the back, you see this brain-like structure. Yeah, it says seminal vesicle. The seminal vesicle, over here highlighted yellow, also contributes to the components of semen. I want you to look at how the seminal vesicle connects. You notice that the seminal vesicle kind of connects right beside where the vas deferens is. You see over here and over here, they are like side by side. So how the seminal vesicles and prostate glands work, they kind of work like how your pancreas will produce enzymes into the small intestines. Yeah, all these glands kind of work the same way. Okay, they help to channel it into the urethra, and then all of them meet halfway, and then to produce semen along the way. Okay, all the parts come together that way. There's one more gland that's a little bit hard to find. Here, this gland over here, this is the bulbourethral gland. Okay, let's find the bulbourethral gland. In reality, it's not so easily found. Okay, this one takes a little bit of dissecting. Click on the prostate gland, then you click fade, or you click high up to you, fade. And then you scroll down. Okay, still cannot see, right? Okay, now you click on this part over here, you fade this also. Look at this small little P over here. See this small little structure over here? Yeah, that is the bulbourethral gland. This tiny thing over here. Can you try to find it? Let's see if I can click it. Okay, I cannot click it yet. Okay, I have to remove this part. Okay, I click it over here. This is the bulbourethral gland. Small little gland at the base of the prostate gland. You see if you can find it? You can find it, you also can screenshot. Combined, all these 3 glands help to contribute to the production of semen. I would like you to know, please don't memorize which gland produce what. For example, the seminal vesicle, they say, produce mucus, produce fructose, produce protein. Then they say that the prostate gland produces this, and this. Don't go and memorize all this. I don't need to know in depth. Instead, just understand that these 3 glands together contribute to these components of semen. Okay? A general understanding will do. Don't waste your memory space. All 3 contribute to the production of semen. Correct. Sperms will always be produced by testicles.
But all three of it also use the
Correct, yeah. Okay. Yes. Oh, I love it. Okay, so we've learned about glands, right? So now Hiran has asked a good question. Are they endocrine or exocrine glands? Okay, then we go back to the definition. What makes a gland an endocrine gland? Okay, where will it go to versus exocrine? I give an example of endocrine gland. For example, for osmoregulation, your pituitary gland, it produces the hormone. Where does the hormone go to? Where does it travel via? The bloodstream. Okay, so endocrine glands produce things for the bloodstream. So Hiran's question is, all these three glands are they endocrine or exocrine? Gee, you solved their puzzle already. They are exocrine because they are not for the bloodstream. Okay, great question. So all three glands are exocrine glands. You've given me suddenly some inspiration. Okay, I can merge the two topics this way already. I'd like to address one question brought up by Ella earlier on, and I think it's a very valid question. If you had traced the pathway that urine takes and the pathway that sperms take, do you realize the last part of the pathway is exactly the same? Sperms and urine travel out through the urethra. Yet, it doesn't make any sense. Because if sperm meets urine, sperms will die. How? I'll let you get creative with this. How do you think the male reproductive system is able to prevent sperms and urine from meeting? Okay? Alpha product. Hey, you all think about all your biology knowledge so far. When you want to control things from meeting each other or maybe move in one direction, right? Okay, so alpha simply flaps, maybe valves. Are there any other ways? Let's bring out all the biology methods that we may be able to use. Efferent. Oh, so maybe difference in size of the tubes. Okay, they're kind of the same size. Okay, small and me when you walk past. So many valves or flaps. Any other creative answers? Hey, could it be nerves? Could it be the nervous system? Okay, I think you hit the mark a little bit. Definitely need your nervous system. Your nervous system needs to help to control this. Okay, then let's look at what should the nervous system control to prevent them from meeting. Sorry? Contract what? Okay, so Kara says perhaps it's about contracting muscles. Maybe if you need to use one pathway, you contract the other so that it cannot flow. Okay? Okay, so actually I love all your answers because in our body we do make use of all different methods to prevent flow of certain things. In this particular scenario, we make use of muscles that contract. Okay? But not the whole tube contract. So at the base of the bladder, we have muscles there. These muscles can prevent urine from coming out. I mean, you think about it. How do you control your own bladder when you need to pee, but the teacher is still talking non-stop? Right? Hey, you don't use peristalsis. Peristalsis helps things flow. Okay, you don't want it to flow, right? So, we do it the same way. If you don't want urine to come out, you need to use your own sphincter muscles to prevent your pee from coming out, right? That's how you hold it in before you go to the toilet. Same thing over here. So if we don't want the sperm to come out when the urine is coming out, if we don't want urine to be coming out when the sperms are coming out, the sphincter muscles need to close. Okay? That helps to kind of regulate the flow. Okay, any more questions that are bugging you, you've always wanted to ask before I move on to the female reproductive system? shy, but you still want your questions answered, you can go to number 4. You know our exit pass, always can put questions. Put questions there if you're shy. Yes? Oh, does semen come out with a P? So, as we're discussing, right, there are two, both come out with urethra, right? So, when the semen is coming out, by right, the sphincter muscle at the base of the bladder should be contracted, so that P cannot come out in the semen. Use the same part. They separate by controlling whether urine can come out. Yes? Yes. That's a good question that I've never had to answer before. Well, semen will come out if the male is, let me find the right biological words. Okay, so if male see female, okay, Priya's question is when will semen come out? Because if your bladder full, then okay. So perhaps you're wondering, will semen come out if your epididymis is full? Okay, so for males, right, it's not whether it is full or not. It is about whether the male thinks he has found an ideal mate. Okay? Can I take that back? Doesn't mean it's ideal that there is consent. Okay, let's use animal kingdom, that's easier. Okay, so let's say it's in the wild, right? So it works all on the nervous system. Nervous system wise, in the wild, let's say there's a lion. Lion sees a lioness. Through the eyes, sends signal to the brain. The brain tells the male, okay, this is a female, I need to have offspring. So, sends signals to the testicles. Okay, sends signals to its penis. So everything's on standby. The penis will become erect. When there's enough stimulation, a process called ejaculation will occur, then the sperms will come out. So the sperms don't come out as and when. The penis itself needs to be in an erect state, and with enough stimulation, then all the muscles will start to force and pump the sperm out. Yes, and peristalsis would help in this process. Okay, but therefore, maybe a misconception that some of you may have. When you look at the structure of the penis, you notice that there are many segments over here. You see over here? Yeah? All of these segments are kind of cavities that allow blood to be filled in. So when a male, when a male is aroused, these cavities will be filled up with blood, and kind of like a balloon, it will start to inflate with blood and it becomes erect. Then it can be used for sexual purposes to introduce the sperm into the female body. Okay? And this happens throughout the animal kingdom. What if the sperm is not released? What if there's no female but sperm needs to come out? Then it comes out and open? Yes. Yeah, so now let's go to the female reproductive system. You'll find that the female reproductive system, lesser parts, but very, very important role females play. Sorry, one more misconception. Often in diagrams, they show you the testicle just hanging like that by the thread. It's not true. So if you look at male reproductive system, epididymis, sperm duct, and here's the penis. Okay. When you look at the testicle, it's not hanging by a thread. Yeah? Instead, there is a skin sac that contains the testicle. It protects it. We call this a scrotum. Okay? I don't want you to go away thinking that the testicle is just hanging by a thread. Just use one like scissors can easily cut and slip off. It's not so easy. There's a lot of skin surrounding it. Oh, then why isn't this enclosed in the body of the male? Because if you look at the female reproductive system, the ovaries are within the female body. But for males, the testicles are hanging outside of the body. That's because sperms can only be produced at a temperature lower than the body temperature. If the temperature is too high, sperms cannot be produced. So for boys and males, they like to take hot showers for too long, you're killing your sperms. Okay? And also, studies have been shown, males that wear those underwear that wraps up to the groin versus those that wear boxers. Males that wear boxers, they tend to be more fertile, produce more sperms. Males that wear underwear tend to produce less sperm. Okay? So maybe some of the males, you're questioning your life choices at the moment. Okay, we are done. We'll go to the female reproductive system now. For the female reproductive system, you'll find that there's a lot of tissue surrounding over here. I'd like you to remove the tissue so you can hide it. Then you can see the parts a little bit clearer. You'll find that for the female reproductive system, all of the parts are contained within the female. I need you to know the same thing. Where does urine flow? For females, we've discussed that the females come with urethra much shorter. If you go up, you see the bladder. If you look at the side, let's remove this bone, the pelvic bone. You can see that behind, there's a ureter over here. Same thing for females. Kidney, ureter, bladder, urethra. We've discussed about the pathways sperms take out of the male body. What about females? What is the pathway the egg will take? Females produce eggs, yeah? So let's have a look. I'd like you to look from this perspective. Can you see where the ovary is? See this ovary? Where is the ovary connected to? You find that the ovary is connected to this part over here, the uterus. The layman term of the uterus is the womb of the female. Okay? See the ovary connected to the uterus. Where is it connected via? It's connected via this small little ligament. Here's misconception number one. This is a misconception I used to have. If this is the uterus, okay, I used to think that the ovary is connected like that, and any egg that is produced will travel through this tube over here into the uterus. But actually, that's not the case. This ligament over here is just to hold the ovary in place, so that it doesn't slosh around and float around the female. Instead, eggs travel via another tube that you've learned before, the fallopian tube. Okay? So where's the fallopian tube? If you really want to trace the pathway, this is the proper pathway. Egg will go into the fallopian tube, then it will end up in the uterus eventually. Okay? So where's the fallopian tube? The fallopian tube is here. You observe that the fallopian tube kind of opens up, kind of like a flower, and then it's touching the ovary over here. Interestingly, this opening of the fallopian tube can move around. It depends on where the egg is produced. Sometimes the egg is being released over here. Then the fallopian tube will come to this region and vacuum it up. If the egg is going to be released over here, the fallopian tube can reorientate and come down so that the egg can exit the pathway. So this fallopian tube is not stuck to the ovary. It is also not holding the ovary in place. It is this ligament holding the ovary in place. This fallopian tube goes around, kind of catching the eggs as they are being released. Yes? Is this connected? This one? Connected to what? Okay. This ligament is connected to the outer wall of the womb. Okay, it's connected to the outer wall of the womb. The womb is very thick. Okay? This is connected to the outer wall of the womb. This will definitely have to open up into the womb itself. Okay, my drawing needs to be made up. lines. Okay, so just take note. If someone were to ask you to trace the pathway that an egg will take, please choose the correct pathway. And there's only one pathway. This is not even a pathway. It's just a ligament holding the ovary in place. I find that your notes may not show this that clearly, so I'll leave it up to you how you want to decide what images you want to screenshot. Where does fertilization take place? If let's say a sperm does manage to get into the female. Fertilization actually takes place along the fallopian tube. So actually the sperms travel very far. They travel all the way up to the fallopian tube of the lady, and then fertilization occurs somewhere along there. Okay, now let's talk about other parts of the female body. Let's look at the uterus or the womb. Over here, you find that the uterus, this is the part I clicked on. This is the uterus. You find that this muscle layer is very, very thick. It is muscular, it is filled with a lot of blood vessels. This womb is what is going to supply the eventual baby with a lot of nutrients. So that's why there's a lot of blood vessels over there. It is also extendable, stretchable, so that baby as it grows, this particular pouch over here will expand and expand. And therefore, if you notice, if you look at mummy, this bone over here doesn't block the womb's way. The womb can expand outwards, and the mummy's tummy will expand, but it won't push into the bones. Okay? The inner lining of the uterus is called the uterine lining. So I'd like to highlight one more layer. This layer is called the uterine lining. This lining is very important. It is filled with a lot of blood vessels. Eventually, this is what is going to supply baby with food and nutrients and oxygen. However, the reality is that, especially for humans, women are not having baby all the time. So every month, this uterine lining layer filled with blood vessels will be ejected from the female body. And I think females know this to be the menstruation. Okay, every month, this will be ejected from the body. You know, in the animal kingdom, actually a lot of animals don't undergo menstruation. So what they do instead is they reabsorb this blood vessel layer into the body. So it's so convenient. Yeah? I don't know why also evolutionary why humans are one of the few species that undergo menstruation. Let's say baby grows, right? Baby grows inside the space. We need a way to ensure baby doesn't just suddenly exit mommy when it's not fully developed yet. So how? I'd like you to look below the uterus. You see this part over here? That part is called the cervix. So the cervix is the base of the uterus. You can see kind of one opening over here. There's a muscular ring of there's a ring of muscles. That is the cervix. The cervix is most of the time constricted as baby is developing. When it's time for birth, this cervix will expand in size so that the baby's head can come out first. Okay? But as baby is developing by right, this should not open up. Yeah? If not, baby will come out prematurely. Last but not least, you see this long channel? See this channel over here? This channel is the vagina. This is also the channel where sperms are deposited. So the penis actually is not possible for the penis to go all the way up to the uterus. It is biologically not possible. Instead, sperms are deposited along the vagina. Then the sperms have a very long journey to take. You need to travel up this distance, go into the cervix, okay, go up the uterus, go up the fallopian tube to search for the egg. And you'll find that the journey is very arduous. Sometimes the cervix open, sometimes not open. If the door is closed up, wasted effort. Then if you go up the wrong fallopian tube, right, also wasted effort. Because females only could release one egg at a time down each tube. So it's really a chance event. Yes?
Like after birth they cut the tube, then
Hey, which tube?
like umbilical cord.
Okay, yeah.
After that the umbilical cord like very.
Okay, so how you ask? Hey, after birth, we'll cut umbilical cord, right? Where's the umbilical cord? Is it still left dangling in your mouth? Okay, it's not. So the umbilical cord later on in the chapter you'll learn is connected to a pouch called the placenta. That pouch is what supplies baby nutrients. So when the umbilical cord plus this pouch will all be taken out of the mouth. Okay? Yes.
Some people eat the placenta.
Yes, I am aware. Some people cook their own placenta after birth and then they eat it to get back the nutrients. This is a different level of cannibalism, like eating yourself. But different cultures, different beliefs. Okay, one last part. What is this part over here? Males also have it. Yeah, okay, thank goodness you know what. This is also the rectum, and then this is the anus. Okay, I've introduced to you 3 openings in the female body. Anus, here the opening of the vagina, last but not least, opening of the urethra. There are 3 openings. I beg of you, don't mix up openings and tell me wrongly where urine, baby, and poop will come out from. Okay? So for example, if I ask you to trace the pathways that a baby will come out, if you take this pathway, it means to say that you grew up in your mom's rectum, then your mom needs to ship you out there. Wow, it's going to be very painful. If I ask you the pathway that baby takes, another most common mistake is that they will say that, oh, baby will develop. I ask you, where will baby develop? The most common mistake students will do is that, I need to find a space and a pouch, right? Okay, I will put baby here to develop. If baby develops here, I tell you baby won't come out. Even if you can force baby out, it will be very painful. You need to pee the baby out. Okay? So be very aware where the baby develops. It develops here. And only the cervix and vagina can expand to let baby out. Here, these 2 channels, you're likely have to tear a lot of muscle and tissue to get the baby out. Yes?
It's like got case where the mother is like mixed baby.
Okay, how yeah? That just means 2 things are happening at once. The mom, yes. Oh, okay. Thanks for the question. So, how yeah? It does not. Okay, if you heard stories that maybe the woman was pooping and then baby came out, it does not mean that the mom pooped the baby out. Okay, it actually means that mom so happened to have poop and baby at the same time. As poop is coming out, baby also came out at the same time. But it does not mean mom pooped the baby out. Next thing, I think it's a misconception. Women do not pee through the vagina. Understand? Women pee through the urethra. The vagina is for baby to come out. If you say that urine comes out through the vagina, it means that urine was stored in the uterus. And where was urine produced? So the tubes and the connections all don't make sense. Okay? People who do not study biology will not understand this. So biologically speaking, this is the orientation. For females, starting from the front, the first opening, the first hole is for urine. Second hole behind is for baby to come out. Or this is also where blood will come out every month, menstruation. The third hole behind, sandwiched between 2 butt cheeks, like males, that's where the anus is, that's where poop comes out. Okay? So I hope it clears some misconception, so you learn a little bit more about your body. Yes? Yeah. Would it? Oh, okay. So, Shreya asks, when baby is about to come out, and baby is coming out, does it mean that the rectum and the bladder also needs to kind of make way? Yeah, rightfully so. Actually, as baby is coming out, you can expect a lot of mom's tubes and organs to make way so that baby can come out also. Yeah. I'm about done for today. I'll give you some time now therefore explore the models. You can also crop, label, value add to your own notes. You can also go to section 4. You can submit some questions that you may be too shy to ask out loud. I'll be glad to try my best to answer. Yes, one question. Okay, and I appreciate this. I think the session went quite okay lah. We all kind of take this all like adults. I think it's important. When I was a student, when it came to this chapter, somehow at boys' school, right, we learned nothing one. Because every sentence the teacher say, right, the students just laugh already. Yeah? Teacher said penis, right? Ha ha, everybody laugh. Somehow it's a boys' school. Then, at the end of the day, I didn't really learn much about the male repro system. I made a lot of assumptions. Yeah? I don't know how things connect. So, when I was like only very late in my life, then I realized that women don't pee through the vagina. I was very confused. I was like, huh? Yeah, but actually that's where baby comes out from. So, understand your body better. And some males also think their penis comes with a bone. Because how then will it become erect, right? For sex to occur. There's no bone. Yeah? There isn't even any cartilage on your bones. So how it works is through blood filling the cavities. So it's important to know your body parts. Okay, by the remaining 5 minutes, I'll leave it to you. Touch up the structure of the repro system. Next lesson, we will talk about female repro system menstrual cycles. Yes?
Does female have any accessory implants to produce babies?
Oh, that's a great question. That is a good question. I believe there are, but I did not read up in depth enough to advise. I believe there are because also during sex, females need to produce lubricants also. Yeah, so I think there are plans. But for tomorrow, may I get you to bring your headphones or earpiece, something that you can connect to your iPad. The next part of the lesson, the menstrual cycle, the format will be watching a video of me teaching how the cycle works, and then we'll answer questions together. Okay? Over the years, I found this to be the most effective method. It's a rather complicated process. I realize if I teach you in front of a class, most people will switch off. So instead, when you listen to me one-on-one like that, I find it more successful. And then students can slow down, pause, revise the parts. Next week, I'll need you to bring flowers. We are going to go to the lab. We're going to explore, because we explore the parts of the human repro system, right? The next part we're going to look at will be the plant repro system. Okay, so we're going to look at flowers. I'm about to buy a whole bunch of flowers. I'm going to show you my favorite flower, and then we'll get to dissect my favorite flower. Then you can bring your own flower also to dissect. Oh, shucks, you are boarding up. Oh, let me think. Yeah, let me think. Yeah, understand. Okay, then never mind. Anyway, I'm buying for you already. But if you all can, let's say over the weekend you're going to see, buy a bouquet, bring to boarding, then put inside one vase. Then before bio lesson, everybody cut one flower away, right? You bring your class also can. Yeah? Yes? It doesn't need to be alive, but it should be in bloom. You don't want to bring a flower that is wilted already, then you cannot explore the various parts. I love flowers. Isn't it? I cannot unhear what I heard once. someone said, right, essentially what you're doing on Valentine's Day is to give the reproductive organs of a plant to your partner. Because flowers are the reproductive organs of plants. Okay, if you have time, you can even complete your section A, just 2 parts to it.